Veronica stood in the warehouse doorway, her red dress a sharp contrast to the industrial gray around her. She'd come to deliver the termination notice. Personally, that's the kind of CEO she was. Direct, efficient, uncompromising. The mechanic looked up from under the hood of a company truck, grease staining his hands and work uniform. His dark hair was slightly disheveled, his face showing the wear of someone who'd worked hard for everything he had. "Ryan Martinez?" she asked, her heels clicking on the concrete floor. "That's me," he straightened, wiping his hands on a rag even in his work clothes. There was something about him, a quiet confidence, a stillness that seemed at odds with his humble position. "I'm Veronica Sterling, CEO of Sterling Transportation," she said. "I know who you are, ma'am. Everyone does. Then you probably know why I'm here." Ryan's jaw tightened slightly, but his expression remained neutral. I can guess Veronica pulled out a folder from her designer bag. "Your employment is being terminated. Effective immediately. We're restructuring the maintenance department, and your position is being eliminated or outsourced. Does it matter?" "It does to me," Ryan said quietly. "I have a daughter to support. I need this job. You'll receive 2 weeks severance," Veronica said, her tone businesslike. "That's more than generous, given the circumstances being that you can hire contractors for less than you pay employees with benefits." Veronica's eyes narrowed. "The circumstances being that this company needs to maximize efficiency to survive. I'm not running a charity, no." Ryan agreed. "You're running a business, and I'm just collateral damage if you want to see it that way." How else should I see it? Veronica had no answer for that. She'd made harder decisions than this, had fired people in positions far more senior. Why did this mechanic's quiet dignity unsettle her? "I need you to sign these papers and clear out your locker," she said. Ryan took the papers, scanned them briefly, then signed without argument. "That's it? No fight? Would it change anything?" Ryan asked. "No." "Then why waste both our time?" He walked to his locker, removed a few personal items, a photo of a young girl with dark curls and his smile, a lunchbox, a worn paperback. "How old is your daughter?" Veronica found herself asking. Ryan looked at the photo. 8. "Her name is Sophia. Her mother died when she was 3, so it's just the two of us." Guilt flickered in Veronica's chest. "Unwelcome and uncomfortable. I'm sure you'll find another position quickly, maybe," Ryan said. "Or maybe I'll have to work 3 part-time jobs without benefits to keep our apartment. But, like you said, that's not your problem." He picked up his box and walked past her toward the exit. "Mr. Martinez," Veronica called. He stopped but didn't turn. "This isn't personal, it never is," Ryan said. "Not to people like you." Then he was gone, and Veronica stood alone in the warehouse, feeling strangely empty despite having just made a decision that would save the company thousands in annual costs. She returned to her office, buried herself in quarterly reports and acquisition proposals. But that evening, as she sat in her penthouse overlooking the city, she couldn't stop thinking about the photo of Ryan's daughter, about being a single parent struggling to survive. Veronica had never wanted children, had built her empire through single-minded focus and ruthless decision-making, but something about Ryan's quiet acceptance haunted her. 2 weeks later, Veronica was touring the new contracted maintenance facility when she heard the sound, low and rhythmic, growing louder, the distinctive thump of helicopter rotors. Everyone in the facility stopped working, looking up as a military helicopter descended toward the parking lot. "What the hell?" Veronica muttered. The helicopter landed, and several figures in Navy uniforms emerged. An officer approached the building with purpose. Veronica met him at the entrance, her business instincts on high alert. "Can I help you?" "I'm looking for Ryan Martinez," the officer said. "We have intelligence he works here." "He did." Veronica said. "He was let go 2 weeks ago." The officer's expression darkened. "Ma'am, I need you to understand something. Ryan Martinez is not just a mechanic. He's a decorated Navy SEAL who served 3 tours in classified operations. He's also one of our top reserve operatives." Veronica felt the ground shift beneath her feet. "What?" "We have a situation developing overseas," the officer continued. "We need Martinez for a critical extraction operation. He has specific skills and regional knowledge that make him essential. I don't understand why was he working as a mechanic, because that's what he chose to do. After active duty, the officer said he wanted a quiet life for his daughter, wanted to be present instead of deployed, but right now we need him, and apparently you just fired him. The accusation in those last words hit Veronica like a physical blow. I didn't know. No, the officer agreed. You didn't. Do you have his current address? Veronica pulled out her phone, accessing HR records. I'll take you there myself. They found Ryan in a modest apartment complex across town. He answered the door in civilian clothes, his daughter visible behind him at the kitchen table doing homework. His expression shifted from surprise to understanding when he saw the uniform's commander Phillips Martinez. We need you. Ryan glanced back at Sophia, and Veronica saw the conflict in his eyes. I'm out, sir. You know that this is a recall situation. Phillips said we have American hostages, including 2 children, in a compound you helped surveil 3 years ago. You know the terrain, the layout, the local contacts. We need you on the extraction team, my daughter. Will be taken care of, Phillips assured him. We have protocols. Ryan ran a hand through his hair, the calm mechanic replaced by something harder. More focused. How long? 72 hours? Maybe less, and if I refuse? You won't, Philip said quietly, because there are kids involved, and you're not the kind of man who walks away from that. Ryan was silent for a long moment. Then he nodded. Let me talk to Sophia. Veronica watched as Ryan knelt beside his daughter, explaining in gentle terms that he had to go help some people who were in trouble. Sophia's eyes filled with tears. But she nodded bravely, like, when you were a soldier? Just like that, baby. Will you come back? Always. Ryan promised I always come back to you. Veronica's throat tightened. This man she'd dismissed as just another employee was about to risk his life for strangers, and she'd fired him without a second thought. What about childcare? Phillips asked. My neighbor can take her for a few days, Ryan said. Then he looked at Veronica, really looked at her. Unless the CEO of Sterling Transportation has any other suggestions. It wasn't quite an accusation, but close. I'll watch her, Veronica heard herself say. Both men turned to stare. Excuse me? Ryan said. Your daughter Sophia. She can stay with me while you're gone, Miss Sterling. With all respect, you don't know anything about kids. No, Veronica admitted, but I know about making things right. I fired you unjustly. The least I can do is make sure your daughter is safe and comfortable while you risk your life. Ryan studied her face, searching for something. Why would you do that? Because I was wrong, Veronica said simply. About you, about a lot of things, and because Sophia shouldn't have to be shuffled to a neighbor when there's another option. She barely knows you, then we'll get to know each other. Sophia had wandered over, looking up at Veronica with curious eyes. Are you the lady who fired my daddy? Veronica flinched but met the child's gaze. Yes, I am, and I'm very sorry about that. Are you rich? Sophia, Ryan warned. It's okay. Veronica said. Yes, I am. Do you have a big house? Very big. Sophia considered this. Can I bring my stuffed animals? All of them, Veronica promised. Okay. Sophia said. You can watch me. Ryan looked torn between gratitude and uncertainty. Miss Sterling, are you sure about this? Sophia can be a handful, I'm sure, Veronica said. And please, call me Veronica. 30 minutes later, Ryan was being briefed by Commander Phillips. While Veronica helped Sophia pack a bag, the little girl chattered nervously, trying to be brave like her father. Daddy always comes back. She told Veronica he promised. I'm sure he will, Veronica said. Hoping it was true before Ryan left with the team, he pulled Veronica aside. Thank you for this. I know you don't owe me anything. I owe you an apology at minimum. Veronica said, why didn't you tell anyone about your service? Because I didn't want to be treated differently. Ryan said I wanted to be judged on my work, not my past, and I judged you as expendable. You made a business decision, a bad one, Veronica countered. When you get back, if you want it, you have your job back, with a raise. Ryan smiled slightly, trying to ease your conscience, trying to do the right thing. He nodded, then called to Sophia. She ran to him, and he picked her up, holding her tight. Be good for Miss Sterling, okay? Okay, Daddy, I love you to the moon and back again. Sophia finished. It was clearly a ritual between them. Then Ryan was gone, disappearing into the helicopter that lifted off into the evening sky. Veronica stood with Sophia's small hand in hers, watching until the aircraft was just a dot on the horizon. He'll be okay, Sophia said, more to herself than Veronica. He's very brave. The next 72 hours were the strangest of Veronica's life. Her penthouse, usually silent and pristine, became filled with the chaos of an 8-year-old stuffed animals everywhere cartoon movies playing questions about everything. Why don't you have any pictures? Sophia asked. Why is your refrigerator so empty? Don't you get lonely in this big house all by yourself? Veronica found herself answering honestly about prioritizing work over everything else, about the emptiness she'd never acknowledged, about not knowing what lonely felt like until Sophia pointed it out. They cooked together, simple meals that Veronica had never bothered to make. They watched movies Veronica had never heard of. They talked about Sophia's school, her friends, her dreams of becoming a veterinarian. And slowly, Veronica began to understand what she'd been missing on the third night. Sophia had a nightmare. Veronica found her crying in the guest room. What if Daddy doesn't come back this time? The little girl sobbed. Veronica had no experience with this, no training in comforting frightened children, so she did what felt natural. She climbed into bed and held Sophia. Close. Your daddy is one of the strongest people I've ever met, she said softly. He promised you he'd come back, and I believe him. Do you promise too? Veronica knew she shouldn't make promises she couldn't keep, but looking into Sophia's tear-filled eyes, she couldn't help herself. I promise that no matter what happens, you'll be taken care of. You'll always have someone. Sophia curled against her, and Veronica felt something shift in her chest, a protective instinct she'd never experienced, a fierce desire to keep this child safe. When Ryan finally returned 4 days later, Veronica had never been so relieved. He came straight to her penthouse, still in his tactical gear, exhaustion etched into every line of his face. Sophia threw herself into his arms. Daddy, you're back, I promised, didn't I? Over Sophia's head, Ryan met Veronica's eyes. Thank you, he mouthed later, after Sophia had fallen asleep on Veronica's couch. They talked. The mission was successful? Veronica asked. All hostages recovered safely. Ryan confirmed, including the children. I'm glad. They sat in silence for a moment. Sophia told. You had a nightmare together. Ryan said. She told me you held her and made her feel safe. I didn't know what else to do. You did exactly right, Ryan said. Thank you for that. For all of it. I meant what I said. Veronica told him about the job, about the raise. You're an asset to the company. I should have seen that before. I appreciate it, but... Ryan smiled. But I've been thinking, maybe being just a mechanic isn't enough anymore. Maybe I have more to offer. What are you saying? I'm saying that if the offer is real, I'd like to not just come back as a mechanic. I'd like to help build something. Maybe a training program for veterans transitioning to civilian work. Maybe a way to help other people like me find meaningful employment. Veronica felt excitement spark. That's a brilliant idea. Yeah? Sterling Transportation could be the first company to implement something like that. You could run the whole program. Is that a job offer? It's a partnership offer, Veronica corrected. If you're interested. Ryan extended his hand. I'm interested. They shook, and Veronica felt the calluses on his palm, earned through hard work and harder sacrifices. 6 months later, the veteran employment program was thriving. Ryan had become one of Veronica's most trusted advisors, and Sophia had become a regular fixture at Sterling Transportation, doing homework in Veronica's office, charming every employee she met. She's good for you, Ryan observed one evening as they watched Sophia help the receptionist organize paperwork. What do you mean? You smile more, he said. Simply, you seem happier. I am, Veronica admitted. I didn't realize how empty my life was until you two filled it up. Ryan looked at her for a long moment. We could keep filling it if you wanted. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting that maybe what started as making amends has become something more. At least for me. Veronica's heart raced. For me too. So what do we do about that? We could start with dinner. Veronica said a real one. Not just Sophia and me cooking in my kitchen that sounds nice, and then maybe we see where it goes. Ryan smiled. I like that plan. A year later, Ryan and Sophia moved into Veronica's penthouse. It was no longer silent and pristine. It was filled with life and laughter and love. Veronica Sterling, the CEO who'd thought she had everything, learned that sometimes the best things come from admitting you were wrong, from opening your heart, when it would be easier to stay closed, from understanding that success isn't measured in quarterly profits, but in the people you choose to build a life with. And sometimes, the person you fire becomes the person you can't imagine living without, along with his 8-year-old daughter who taught you what family really means. If this story inspired you, please like, share, and subscribe for more stories about second chances and unexpected families. Comment below about a time when a mistake led you to something wonderful. Your story might be exactly what someone needs to hear today.